Hey, we're back with another episode of Aggressive Improvement. This time, I am with the mayor. This is my mayor, I should say. You might have a different mayor, but my mayor is Lerion Gaylor-Baird. We are living in the city of Lincoln, and I'm so happy to have you here to have a great conversation just about how you feel in regards to growth as an individual and as a person that literally leads an entire city. Thanks for joining me.
Oh, thanks so much for having me. It's great to be with you as always.
Yeah, so I'm at a place in my life that I've always dreamed about. I just had no idea how much work it would take to get here.
Before that moment, I really felt like I was a failure.
That right there was the reminder I needed to kind of start pushing in a way that would help all of us succeed.
Well, aggressive improvement is about
Yeah.
building yourself every day, right? Despite what career you're in or what has happened to you in your life, every day we get to make one singular choice that allows us to move forward. For instance, one of mine is I wake up and I try to say a positive thing. I try to just one positive thing in the day. And it helps because there's so many things that I feel like we could complain about and commiserate on, and trust, there is plenty of commiserating and complaining. But I try to be intentional about doing the one thing that is speaking positivity into the world. So I wanted to sit down with you and talk about some of the processes that you go through in your head to continually grow yourself. Obviously, people talk to you a lot about the impact that you're making on the community. I want to talk about the impact that you're making on yourself and the choices that you've made that kind of help you move forward every single day. So, it'd be a little bit of fun.
Yeah.
So I want to start with just a basic question that I don't know if you get asked a ton, but tell me about your family.
Oh, well, thank you. I love my family. I have a husband named Scott and 3 kids, Evelina, Turner, and Cleo. And we've lived in the same house for the past 22 years in the near south, but now 2 of my babies are out of the nest. I shouldn't really even call them babies, any single one of them, but they will always be my babies.
Yes.
One's on the East Coast, one's on the West Coast, and my youngest is a junior at Southeast. And I have a wonderful mother-in-law who lives in town. It's part of why we're in Lincoln. We wanted to be close to family while we raised our children. And, sleepovers at Grammy's are been a favorite of my kids for as long as I can remember. They love to spend birthdays with Grammy's house. Grammy's a good cook, by the way.
Oh, yes, that helps.
Yeah.
When Grammy can feed them.
Yeah. So our family's kind of, in this transitional time because, again, my youngest is a junior and she'll be heading off to college, and we feel like we just have this just 1.5 years left with her at home before we're empty nesters.
Oh, my gosh.
My husband and I are celebrating our 25th wedding anniversary in November.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Oh.
Yeah.
Are you doing anything crazy for that?
Well, nothing crazy.
No, I'm thinking skydiving,
No, it's
deep
actually,
sea.
our anniversary is November 6th, which is the day after the presidential election. So I'm really hoping that we, it's a peaceful, lovely day with lots to celebrate, but we'll see.
Yeah, you might have to get yourself into a bubble on that specific day. Or I don't know how you feel about this, but I always take celebrations and I'm like, we can move our celebration to whatever day we want.
Exactly.
Like we can honor the day on a different day.
Absolutely.
So if it has to be, I almost said Thanksgiving. But if it has to be November 15th that you decide to celebrate it, I don't know about you, but I'm one of those people that I'm like, yes, it's always all good every time.
Absolutely. We're pretty flexible that way.
Has your whole family always enjoyed being together? It seems like that's important for you.
I think that question depends on who you ask. Yes, but I think, with 2 girls and a boy as kids, there are times when one person feels a little bit on the outs and the sisters gang up on the brother or the oldest 2 gang up on the young, sibling dynamics.
But in terms of your parents and your husband's parents, have they always kind of put value towards keeping family together, at least in close proximity?
Absolutely. I mean, we feel so lucky to live near my mother-in-law, Joyce, and she's so wonderful about bringing people together at the holidays. And then, of course, I also enjoy spending time with my mom and my sister, who don't live in town, but we make an effort to be there with them as well. And it's amazing. I saw a chart once of all the like if you graph out all the time that you spend with your nuclear family, the family you grow up, that household, it's so front loaded, right? You can't really imagine how fleeting it is. But then when you look across the span of an expected life, lifetime, it's just a fraction. And the time that you get to spend with your mom, your dad, the people, your siblings that you grew up with, it fades so much over time. So you have to be really intentional about getting together, and that's an important value in our family.
How did you get to that decision in moving to Lincoln? Can you start us from the beginning of that journey?
Sure. Well, so my husband is from Nebraska. He grew up in a small town, Superior, on the Kansas-Nebraska border.
Heck yeah.
And after we were married and we had our first child, we wanted to move closer to family because, we were living in the Bay Area at the time, and our commute to work could be 20 minutes or it could be 2 hours and 20 minutes because of traffic. I mean, it's really tough to be a good parent. Yes, and the cost of housing was just exorbitant, and we didn't have family out there. And we knew that to really have a great quality of life, it would be nice to be near one set of our parents. And so wanted to move back to Lincoln where the schools were great and the quality of life is great. I talk a lot about Lincoln being the quality of life capital of the country, and that is why we moved here 22 years ago to raise our family.
My goodness. And since you've been here, can you do just like a quick run through of the different positions that you've held in the city as a public servant / official?
Yeah, well, my first position in Lincoln was actually mom, because we moved here to have a family. And so, like I said, the quality of life is so great. My husband worked 10 minutes away from home. He could come home for lunch. We had 3 kids, and I started getting involved in the community as a volunteer. And eventually that led to being appointed by Mayor Chris Beitler at the time to serve on the Lincoln-Lancaster County Planning Commission, which was a really kind of incredible opportunity to start dreaming and thinking long-term about the future, what kind of city you wanted to create, what's the way we grow our city that's smart, sustainable, and vibrant. And after spending 6 years thinking through that, working on the comprehensive plan for the city, things that maybe sound pretty wonky, but are actually really about how do you be intentional about the future you want for your family and your kids and your grandkids. I ran for city council, and upon being elected, spent 6 years on the council. And then when the opportunity came open to run for mayor, that was something that I had been encouraged to do and mentored by Mayor Beitler to do. And he endorsed me, and I ran for mayor, and the rest is sort of history.
Kaboom. There it goes.
Yeah.
It seems like you never stopped your original career of being mom, though.
No,
right?
That's a full-time 24/7 every year till the very end.
And even in some of the, outside of mom capacities, you can still operate as mom. There's a little protection that you can work for, and you can, advocate and show people, hey, here's a way that we can do things that our children might benefit from. And in that way, you can still be mom to not only your kids, but to a ton of other kids too.
Well, I certainly think we talk a lot about what's important in our public square, and I'm a big believer in civility. And you should be demonstrating behavior that you're proud of, that will set a good example for your kids and other people's kids, because we're all neighbors in this town, right? We're one community, we're one Lincoln. In fact, one of my initiatives coming in was to establish sort of this formal concept of the one Lincoln. And I think that emphasis on what we have in common and how we can work across divides or build bridges, literally and figuratively, is really an essential component to public service work.
There's a lot of pressure in public service work too. How did you decide to take on that continually as you grew? Was it the community impact that you were feeling? Was there something inside of you that said, we're not done yet? What was it for you?
Well, I think that sometimes I like to imagine at the end of my life, what do I want to look back and feel about my life? Do I want to feel like I leaned into risk or ran away from it? Do I do I want to feel like things were pretty ordinary or that I tried for some extraordinary? And those were the kinds of things that my husband and I talked about when I first decided to run for office, because I had never thought of doing it per se. That was never my life's ambition. But again, like getting involved in the city and meeting people on the city team are such dedicated public servants, thinking about what I could contribute to this team effort that it truly is. And the other kind of thing that my husband and I discussed in making that decision was what it could mean for our kids to see me do that work.
Yeah.
And that the things most worth doing in life are usually hard. And that something being hard is not a reason to not give it a go.
Yeah. There's an element of, I feel, living in your purpose that makes those hard things a lot less hard.
Yeah.
Do you feel that in a way this aligns with your purpose?
Absolutely. I hate to even go back there in my mind, but in the year 2020, when the pandemic was becoming more understood by all, I remember having a discussion with my husband about how difficult this was. And people were saying to me, "Oh, you didn't sign up for this." And I mean, I suppose I didn't know I was signing up for this, but I did sign up for it. I did sign up to do whatever I could to protect the health, welfare, and safety of our community. That's the job of the mayor. The top priority is public safety. And when I would come home and maybe do the thing you do with your partner in life, which is, vent.
Yeah. You have to.
He would remind me, like, you get to do this. You get to suit up every day and go to work with an incredible purpose. A lot of us are at home wondering what's going on and don't feel like we have power to make a difference, and you do. And that really was kind of a touchstone for me throughout the pandemic, was thinking about the incredible purpose beyond what I could have ever imagined I would feel as mayor. And not just me personally, but the entire city of Lincoln team, because, most of us were working, we were in the office, we were on the streets, we were answering 911 calls. Our work can't really stop. The faucets still have to have water when you turn them on. Your toilet still needs to flush. You need police, fire, medical response when you're in an emergency. So we had a lot of really essential work to get done for the community. And that sense of purpose was a North Star for me during those difficult times.
What do you feel that your purpose is as a human being at this moment in time? I feel like for some people it changes. For me, it's to connect communities using my voice. I feel like it's a unique gift that's been given to me. And so I feel that that's my purpose in this moment.
Yeah. Well, again, it remains keeping this community safe, healthy, and vibrant. My sort of ambition in this job is to make Lincoln the quality of life capital of the country, and not only make it so through the kinds of improvements and services that we're implementing, but also to tell the story of Lincoln, to tell the story more broadly, to change people's perceptions or create a perception that they don't even have about this wonderful city that we call home.
People gotta stop with the perceptions about Lincoln. I'm telling you, I talk to people, they're like, Lincoln, Nebraska. Yes, Lincoln, Nebraska. And speaking of improvements, I just had my street improved. I'm on that stretch of Layton.
Fantastic.
I was telling people on the air that it feels like you're VIP when it's closed off. They kept everything super clean. And then when they finished everything up, they just got out of the way. It was by far just an awesome experience. It was my first experience with kind of LTU and that whole process, but everyone was great. They were
so
friendly.
Good to hear.
Yeah. So I wanted you to hear that.
Oh, thank you. No, I'm so great. We're very excited to highlight the work on Layton Avenue, actually. And, that's part of our Lincoln on the Move initiative, which is a priority initiative. Streets are a top priority for the community and my administration. And thanks to the voters who approved a 1/4-cent sales tax in 2019, we have, for the past 5 years, been taking that 1/4-cent sales tax and investing it in street improvements all across the city, including yours.
Wow. Yeah. I was definitely hitting that moment where I said, man, they need to redo the streets. And then we got the notification about the streets being redone, and I was like, dang, they're going to redo.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You're like, they get ready to shut off the streets.
Yeah.
And then it starts happening and you're like, okay, it's not that bad. Like I realistically couldn't get into my driveway for maybe 3 days.
Yeah.
3 days out of, you know how long this project has been. So it was a great time.
Well, good. We appreciate people's patience. We like to call them the orange cones of progress. We know it's inconvenient, but they are temporary they lead to really great outcomes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I almost threw a party for the guys, but I didn't want to get anyone in trouble. I thought, I'm like, okay, I can bring them cookies and lemonade. But then again, I'm like, what if someone gets sick? I can't.
Don't want that liability?
No.
It's nice that you thought of it. The thought counts for a lot.
Counts. Maybe I should have passed out notes to tell everyone that I was thinking about it so that they can think I'm a nice person.
Yeah.
That would be.
You can always write and send one to the Lincoln Transportation and Utilities Department.
Like, thank you all for not putting nails in the street so that my car runs over them. But we're getting back to the broad topic. We're talking purpose, your purpose of helping the community grow, protecting it, and being a little more ambitious and wanting to make it the quality capital of the country. Are you feeling like community members are latching onto that purpose a little bit?
I do. I think that people in Lincoln are really proud to live here. We're a humble folk in Nebraska, but we're proud of our city. And this is a place where people take care of each other, where families have time for one another, where you will be driving along your way home after work at 5 p.m. and see parents playing catch with their kids. It's very wholesome in a way and also just focused on the right priorities, which is raising people and giving them the best shot at life. And in Lincoln, we're not the richest community. We're not the fanciest community, but we take our limited resources and we partner. And those partnerships that involve great relationships, whether it's between civic leadership, businesses, and volunteers and government, when we partner, we get a lot done and we have a lot to be proud of. And I think that the arena is one shining example on our skyline that really represents that or symbolizes that kind of partnership. Voters, philanthropy, local government, the private sector, dreaming big, working together to get something really hard done that has changed the quality of life in our community. Lincoln is, we punch above our weight that way.
And I love that. It's so true. It takes a lot of confidence or, at least trust to move some of these things forward. Can you talk about how your confidence has grown over the years and what you've had to do to either maintain it or put it in the place that it needs to be for what you're doing?
Sure. I guess the way that I typically develop confidence, it's born of experience. I need to prove to myself that I can do things. So that involves both setting a vision, thinking through what I need to achieve it, and then hiring really talented people to work with me in government, and then partnering across the community, because we do our work best when we are doing it in cooperation and collaboration with the community. Everything from initial ideas and listening to what people's priorities are, to working together to raise money to do amazing projects like our first inclusive playground that we're going to be breaking ground on later today, where residents came forward, civic leaders demonstrated their commitment. The Parks Foundation helped raise money. Our Parks and Rec team helped get it done, develop the plan. It's the way we get things done in Lincoln. And so I think that there's a lot of confidence that comes from that experience of seeing what's possible when people are empowered to work together, when people work hard to develop the resources, and when you roll up your sleeves and actually do the work.
That last part will push you 80% of the way, won't it?
Yeah.
And I feel like there's so many people who want to join in. They want to help. They want to do things. And their intention is really good, but they might not realistically be ready to roll up their sleeves and do the work.
Yeah.
How are you sifting through that decision-making process of saying, I love you, but you can't be on the team?
Yeah. Well, what I would say about, I guess, what I think you're asking about is how in a city of 300,000 people with a lot of needs and desires and priorities do we kind of figure out what we have the time and resources to do? Right, that's a challenge, right? We don't have an infinite supply of dollars. We just had the legislature impose 0% budget growth except for public safety. We've had a lot of constraints on our budgets historically. So we do have to prioritize. And a lot of that comes from community input. I certainly sat in those council chambers as a planning commissioner, listening to testimony for 6 years, another 6 years as a city council member, hearing directly from residents who wanted to speak up and make their voice heard. There are lots of ways that people express what they want. They can call my office, they can email, they can get a hold of us on social media. But we also go out into the community and seek feedback and input on ideas that we're thinking about. We're looking at improving our main street. It hasn't had investment, really significant investment in decades. And so we've had design charrettes and community meetings and stakeholder gatherings and surveys of businesses and residents. All of that sort of the foundational building block on which we then determine what, based on what people want done and based on the resources we have to get things done and what we know about the entire city, how it fits into the puzzle of the entire city's investments, what can we do? And that's an example of how we prioritize. We make a plan and we work our plan.
It sounds like there's a lot of coordination that has to happen between not only your inner office, but with multiple city entities and state entities that has to make this work. How are you choosing the people that you keep closest to you?
Yeah, well, I'm so lucky to work with so many talented professional leaders in City Hall. I have a cabinet of directors who have expertise in everything from how to serve the aging in our community to how to run libraries to, of course, the parks I mentioned, to police, fire, and building and safety and planning and urban development. I mean, this is a really talented and diverse group of individuals who bring their expertise and community knowledge to bear on the pressing issues of the day. So having that great team is a huge part of it. My team in the mayor's office is really talented and hardworking as well. And we are, both working a plan and reacting to what emerges in the moment. We recognize that our plan will get us most of the way there, but we have to be able to react to what emerging issues and priorities arise. And so striking that balance is a part of our everyday job that we have to try to do well.
If there were qualities that you could attribute to your team, whether it be past or present or something you'd like in the future, that leads to success for everyone when you're involved, what are some of those characteristics or attributes that you find that people have that help a team move forward and pivot and collaborate, things like that?
Like optimism, positive energy, creativity, flexibility, knowledge of the community, resourcefulness. I mean, being clearly smart in the area of expertise, like being able to not only identify problems, because most people can see problems
all day, every day,
right? The trick is again, the rolling up the sleeves and figuring out how do we address this problem? What's the best way to get this done, and who needs to be involved? And so, we definitely interview folks for our team looking for those qualities, but also alignment with our values. So when I came into office, we set a vision for the city, leading Lincoln towards a more successful, secure, and shared future. Every single word super intentional in that vision statement. And then we established our core values. And then we're using those in our hiring process. We use those when we onboard new employees. When we try to make hard decisions, sometimes those decisions, it could go either way.
Yeah.
And on a couple of occasions, I've sketched out our core values and then a pass or fail column and just seen, like, does it pass the test of core values? Like, which decision aligns with values the most? So having a grounding vision, grounding values helps not only hire the people that we want to bring in, but also do the work itself.
Absolutely. How do you have fun? How is the mayor having fun?
You know what? That's one of our core values. Free the fun.
Free the
We
fun.
believe that our work should involve, joy and delight, because it's hard work.
Yeah.
These are hard jobs. It is hard to be the chief of police. It is hard to be the fire chief. We need to make sure that there is a balance of the serious rigor, hardship, decision-making, problem-solving that is required every day with some joyful delight that keeps people coming back every day. And so, in my office, we like to dress up for Halloween. We like to celebrate birthdays.
Yes.
We're heading out tonight to celebrate our September and October birthdays.
Oh, awesome. I have an October birthday. I should
do?
roll
You
through.
should come.
Yes. The something that I always think about when we have people in your position or any career where someone chooses, this is what I'm going to do and I'm going to be good at it, or I'm going to help lead this industry. I think there's a fight in there, right? Like, even if it's a fight for positivity or a fight for understanding, a fight for acknowledgement, I always think the people that are really busting through are showcasing a little bit of that fight. So when you talk about the fun and making sure that they're able to get in there, do the work, and then allow it to let go, I think there's the pull of purpose for me is that fight, right? There is a constant, if there's an audience and someone doesn't know where the bathroom is, I'm like, man, I gotta tell them where the bathroom is. They don't
full service.
Yeah, full service. They don't know that in that little pamphlet there's a QR code that can win them $100. Someone's got to do it. I got to do. There's a pull that leads us to be proud of the work that we do.
When you're an MC, you're really taking care of an audience, aren't you? Mm-hmm. You're taking care of people in that moment.
We both are taking care of people, except you take care of me, and then that helps me take care of everybody else.
I don't know. I remember when we were at the Mayor's Arts Awards. No. I can't believe I'm bringing this up. You were MCing. I had to speak. I got up there with my stuff and I messed up your papers. And then I went and sat down and your papers were out of order. I think I dropped them. Oh, I'm so sorry. I still feel bad about that.
Someone pulled that up. I was hosting the ISIS Theater in Crete. They just had their grand opening with the Nebraska Arts Council. And someone was like, do you remember at the Mayor's Arts Awards where you spent like 30 seconds flipping through papers?
You can blame me for that one.
I'm like, that is all the mayor, not me.
Yeah. I was just testing your abilities. Your resilience.
Yes, the resilience. Yeah. I needed that. Now when I think back, I was like, that was the moment where I sweated the most, because if you remember, that script that they had printed out was back both sides upside down and no staples, no pages.
Yeah, that was bad. I'll tell you my nightmare public speaking story.
Yes, please.
I was speaking at a chamber event and I had my iPad for my remarks and I was scrolling through and all of a sudden the text started sort of flashing and I couldn't understand what was going on. It was getting hard to read. Somehow I had enabled dictation. So as I was reading my remarks, it was recording and adding the remarks to the text. So it was doubling up and I couldn't get through it because every time I spoke, there was what I just said was right in front of me. Luckily, I had my printed remarks as well.
Oh my God.
Pulled those out, set the iPad aside and paused for a moment and kept going, but that was bad.
Those are the moments that make us sweat.
They stick with me.
Yes. Yeah. You never forget. You're like, I need the printed version and the iPad version and the Remarkable. Have you used the Remarkables yet?
I have not.
Oh my gosh. I used it the other day for the Nebraska Storytelling Festival and it feels like paper. It's so wild. My only issue is that it does the Kindle thing where the page kind of blips for a second when you turn the page, but that's a total first world, Gen Z problem that it's like, oh, it doesn't scroll smoothly, but it's still a wonderful reading surface. So
good to know. Check
paper
it out.
copy, iPad, and the Remarkable. I know we're probably
should be foolproof then.
Should be. We're winding up on time, actually.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah, I know.
Are you sure?
It's been 28 minutes, I think.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Time flies. But we'll have to do this again sometime and just kick it and have some more fun. But before we go, I do like to talk about, the one thing that you choose to do every day that allows you to feel like you're becoming your best self. Do you think you have one in mind?
I have a pretty big to-do list every day, and I actually like to write it down. I have a teacher planner, where you have it for your different classes, and at the top of each column, I try to write my priorities. I write the things I have to do, just my daily things. I have my different initiatives: One Lincoln, Resilient Lincoln, Lincoln Forward, and then city operations, admin, just the categories of work that I do, my pillar projects. But I have one column for relationships, because we don't get anything done without working together. And so in the relationships column, I have a to-do every day that's just kudos. And it's a reminder to myself to thank someone on the city team, someone who is working hard, someone I've heard about. When a director tells me about an employee that's done something, I like to email or try to arrange a call. Or sometimes it's just someone on my team in the mayor's office, because I think it's important to express our gratitude. And it's a gift to someone else, but it's also a gift to ourselves, because when you're feeling gratitude, it helps you keep perspective.
Yes.
So gratitude helped me get through the pandemic, helps me get through every day. And I can't do it enough. Like that's something I'm trying to do more of every day.
Yeah. That's awesome. I love that. Being grateful and practicing it is so necessary. I find for all of us, because like we said, once the pandemic hit, we all had a reason to complain. Like we all had a reason.
Yes, you all did.
You're like, trust me.
We all did. We all
know.
did. Yeah, we
Like,
heard about it.
We heard about it. Got emails. All of a sudden, everything is your fault, right?
All those ways people can communicate with us.
Yes, yeah. You're like, you can get a hold of us on social media. You can text us. You can call us. You can email us. And everyone's like, yes, I will take all of those, all at the same time.
Yeah.
And we'll take every media form as well. Yeah. So staying grateful during a process like that, and then watching everything rebuild and maintaining that energy, I think is really... I think it's cool. That's like, I was looking for a larger word, but it really is cool, because I feel like you can hold that gratitude for so long and it can easily become resentment. Yeah. You're like, I've been waiting for this moment. If y'all would have just chilled, right? Or, and that's in any case, right? Not just like a 2020 situation, but in any moment where you've been just grateful through a hardship, and then it comes out on the other side and everyone's hunky-dory, you're like,
you started this conversation talking about like a daily affirmation that you might tell yourself. And I immediately thought of one of my old roommates from college who had a swimming coach who used to make all the swimmers, including my roommate, get up every day and say something. And that something is something that I've continued to say to myself in hard times and more normal times. And that is, it's a beautiful day and a great day to be alive. That is a great way to start the day, thinking about that.
I love that. Thank you so much. I appreciate you sharing that. And now we have to kick it again on the actual radio show.
All right, let's do it.
Yeah. So next up, Radioland.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.